I used to do deliveries at night because it fit around my regular job. It wasn't full-time, just something I picked up a few nights a week when I needed extra money. Most of the orders were routine: apartments, fast food runs, the occasional awkward handoff to someone who took too long to come downstairs. After a while, everything started to blur together. Same parking lots, same porch lights, same people opening the door just enough to take the bag without really looking at you. The only deliveries I ever remembered were the ones where something was slightly off. This happened in early fall on a Thursday night, a little after 11. I remember the time because I had already decided I was going to stop after one more order. It had been a slow night, and I was about 20 minutes from home. I got a pickup from a small Mexican place I'd been to 100 times. Nothing unusual. One bag, one drink, leave at door. The address was in a residential part of town I didn't know very well, but it wasn't far. While I was waiting for the food, the customer sent me a message through the app. It said, "App pinned wrong house. It's the duplex on the corner. I'm in Unit B, use side entrance please." That wasn't that strange. People sent messages like that all the time. Bad GPS pins, weird apartment numbering, back houses, converted garages. I replied with a quick "got it" and didn't think much about it. When the order was ready, I headed over. The neighborhood was older and pretty quiet. Small houses, narrow driveways, a lot of trees hanging over the street. It was the kind of area where every block looked almost the same at night. Porch lights spaced out down the road, a few cars under carports, not much movement. The address in the app brought me to a duplex on a corner lot. At first glance it looked normal. Nothing run down, nothing abandoned. Just an older one-story duplex with faded paint and a short concrete walkway leading to a front porch. There was a small light on over the porch, and another one near the side gate. The building had the unit letters mounted near each half. A on the left, B on the right, same as the message. I parked on the street and grabbed the bag. The right side, Unit B, had its curtains closed, but there was light inside. Not bright light. More like a lamp in the back of the room. Enough to tell someone was home. The blinds on the front window were shut, but not evenly. One of the slats near the middle was bent upward a little. As I walked up, I had that normal delivery driver thought where you kind of prepare for the exchange before it happens. Hand them the food, say have a good night, move on. I got to the porch and noticed the front door of Unit B didn't have a mat, didn't have decorations, didn't have anything personal around it. No shoes, no package, no plant, nothing. It looked clean, but blank, like a place someone had just moved into. I knocked anyway. No answer. I stood there for a few seconds, then I heard movement from inside. Not footsteps exactly, more like something shifting against the floor. Then the blinds twitched, just a little. I looked up and saw the shape of a face for maybe half a second. Someone was definitely there. They were looking at me through that bent slat. I gave a small wave and said delivery. Nothing. I waited another few seconds, then knocked again, louder. Still nothing. I pulled out my phone and called through the app. The customer picked up almost immediately. Before I could say anything, he said, kind of out of breath, Yeah, I know, I see you. I'm almost there. Just wait by the side entrance." His voice caught me off guard. He sounded like he'd been moving fast. Not panicked exactly, but winded like I'd called him while he was climbing stairs or hurrying back from somewhere. I looked at the house again. It was a one-story duplex. No stairs, no driveway gate opening, no one coming down a hall. I said, "Okay, the side entrance on the right?" He said, "Yeah, just around the side. I'm almost there." Then he hung up. I went through the little gate beside Unit B and followed a narrow concrete strip along the wall. It led to a side door under a small overhang. There was a light above it, too. Same thing there. Clean, plain, no sign of anyone actually living in the space. No trash can, no chair, no broom, no doormat, just a white door and a small window covered from the inside. I knocked on that door. No answer. I stood there holding the bag and drink, listening. That's when I became aware of how quiet the whole block was. No TV sounds, no dogs barking, no one talking. Even the traffic from the main road seemed far off. The only noise was the faint buzz from the porch light and the ice shifting in the customer's drink cup. I called again. He answered again, even faster this time. Yeah, I'm at the side door. I know, I'm almost there. Same breathing, same low rush tone. I said, "Do you want me to leave it here?" There was a pause. Then he said, "No, just wait, please. I'm coming now." Something about the way he said please made me hesitate. Not because it sounded threatening. It didn't. If anything, it sounded tired. Like he was trying very hard to keep me from leaving before something happened. I remember looking at the timestamp on my phone. I had been there maybe 2 minutes total. It only felt longer because no one was opening the door. So I waited. I set the drink down on the concrete ledge near the door and kept the food bag in my hand. I figured maybe the guy was elderly or sick or trying not to wake up someone inside. People had all kinds of reasons for acting strange late at night, and in that job, if you treated every weird customer interaction like a threat, you wouldn't last long. Still, I didn't like standing in that side passage. It was too enclosed. Fence on one side, wall on the other. Not enough room to move comfortably if someone came out too fast, or if there was some misunderstanding. So after another 30 seconds or so, I stepped back around to the front of the duplex where I could see the street. I called a third time. He answered on the second ring. I said, "I'm back out front. I've been here a few minutes." He exhaled sharply into the phone, like I was making this harder for him. "Just stay there," he said. "I can see you." That part bothered me more than it should have, because I had just moved from the side entrance to the front without seeing anyone at the window. And the way he said it wasn't casual. It was immediate. Certain. I turned and looked at the front window again. The blinds were still. But then, right as I was staring at them, they shifted inward a fraction and settled back. Very slight. Just enough to show someone had a hand on them. I said, "Are you coming to the door?" A longer pause this time. Then he said, "Yeah, just wait." His voice was lower now, more controlled. He didn't sound as winded anymore. That was when the front door of Unit A opened. A man stepped out from the other side of the duplex, maybe late 50s, maybe older. He looked like I'd just woken him up, even though he was dressed. T-shirt, jeans, sandals. He had that tired look some people have when they're already expecting to be irritated before they even know what's going on. He looked at me, then at the bag in my hand. "Delivery?" he asked quietly. I nodded. "For B?" "Yeah." He stood there for a second, not saying anything. Then he glanced toward the right side window. I noticed he did not look surprised. He just looked tired. He stepped off his porch and came halfway toward me, but not all the way. Like he didn't want to get too involved. Then he said, in a low voice, "Nobody lives there." I thought I misheard him. I said, "Sorry?" He pointed with 2 fingers toward Unit B. "That side's been empty for months." I looked at him, then at the window again. "There's someone inside," I said. "They've been looking through the blinds." He gave a very small nod, like he'd heard that before. Then he said, "Yeah, people say that." There was something about how calmly he said it that made my stomach drop a little. Not because it sounded dramatic. The opposite, really. It sounded practiced. I still had the customer on the line. I had almost forgotten that. I pulled the phone away from my ear and saw the call timer still moving. He hadn't hung up. I put it back to my ear and said, "Hello?" For a second, there was only breathing. Then the customer said, very softly, "Are you outside?" I don't know why, but that was the moment I got scared. Not full panic. Just that immediate cold realization that I had stayed too long in a situation I didn't understand. The man from Unit A noticed my face change. He asked, "You talking to them right now?" I nodded. He looked toward the street, then back at me. "A few of you come by every month," he said. "Different apps. Different names. Usually late." I remember asking, "What do you mean, different names?" He shrugged, but it wasn't casual. It was more like resignation. "I mean, I've seen pizza, grocery deliveries, takeout, different people. They all say the customer texted them the address was wrong. They all come to B, some wait at the front. Some go around the side. Last guy knocked on my door asking if a woman named Erica lived here." My mouth had gone dry. I said, "Did you call the police?" He gave me a look that told me he already knew how that sounded. And tell them what, he said. That delivery drivers keep showing up because somebody keeps ordering food to an empty unit? I didn't have an answer for that. On the phone, the customer said, a little louder now, "Hey, are you still there?" I stepped backward off the porch. I told the man from Unit A, "I'm just going to leave." He nodded once, like that was obviously the right choice. "Yeah," he said. "You should?" I didn't want to turn my back on the door, so I bent down and set the food bag on the porch near the front entrance of Unit B. Not right against the door. Just close enough that if somebody opened it, they could reach it easily. I figured if this was some weird scam to get free food, then fine, they could have it. I just wanted the delivery completed and to be out of there. Into the phone I said, "I'm leaving it at the front door." The customer said, immediately, "No, don't do that." I didn't answer. I ended the call. For a second, everything was completely still. The man from Unit A had stopped moving. He was watching the right side window. I was too. Nothing happened. No door opening. No footsteps. No voice from inside. I backed down the walkway toward the sidewalk, trying to keep both the porch and the side of the house in view. Once I got to the curb, I turned and walked faster toward my car. I had parked maybe 4 houses down under a streetlight. I hit the unlock button before I even reached it. Then I heard my phone buzzing again, same masked number through the app. I answered without thinking. The customer sounded calmer now, not winded, not rushed, just flat. "Are you outside?" I stopped next to my car and turned around. From where I was standing, I could still see the duplex clearly. The porch light was on. The front door of Unit B was closed. The blinds hadn't moved. And the food bag I had set down less than 20 seconds earlier was gone. Not knocked over, not dragged. Gone. I stared at the porch so hard my eyes started to water. I checked the front step, the side of the door, the edge of the porch. Nothing. The man from Unit A was still standing in his doorway now, not out in the yard anymore. He was looking at the same spot I was. I said into the phone, without taking my eyes off the porch, "How did you get the food?" There was a short silence. Then the customer said, "What food?" I got in my car and locked the doors. I didn't say anything else. I just ended the call, started the engine, and pulled away too fast for that street. As I drove off, I checked my mirrors more than once. I kept expecting to see someone walking out from between the houses, or standing under the porch light, or waving me back. But the street stayed empty. The app still showed the order as active. A minute later, I got another message. It said, "Wrong duplex." That was it. No punctuation, no explanation, just those 2 words. I didn't respond. I drove to a gas station about a mile away and sat there under the canopy with all the windows up. I remember checking the locks twice even though I knew I'd already hit them. Then I called driver support and explained that I didn't feel safe completing the delivery. I left out some details because I knew how it would sound. I just said the address seemed wrong. The customer was acting strange, and someone nearby told me the unit was vacant. The support person sounded half asleep. They canceled it and said it wouldn't affect my account. That should have been the end of it, but before I went home, I looked up the address online. I don't know why. Maybe I wanted some ordinary explanation before I tried to sleep. Property records showed the duplex had been sold the year before. There wasn't much else publicly visible. No rental listing, no recent photos. I found an old cached listing that showed Unit B empty, newly painted, basic interior work done. The date on it was several months back. What stuck with me was that there was no obvious reason for anyone to keep using that address unless they knew it looked occupied enough from the outside to make people hesitate. Porch light working, curtains up. Just enough light showing through to suggest someone was inside. I barely slept that night. The next day, in daylight, the whole thing felt less real. I started doing what people always do when something doesn't make sense. I tried to flatten it into something manageable, maybe a squatter. Maybe someone slipping in and out through a back window. Maybe the neighbor was wrong. Maybe there was some domestic situation and the person on the phone didn't want to open the door for reasons of their own. All of that sounded possible until I remembered the timing. The food was there when I stepped away. The door never opened. The customer was still on the phone asking if I was outside. And if it was just somebody stealing random deliveries, why keep answering the calls? Why keep people there? That part bothered me more than anything. Not the missing food. Not the face in the blinds. Just the fact that whoever was behind it seemed to want the driver to stay as long as possible. I quit delivering at night about 2 weeks later. Not because of that one incident by itself. I told myself it was because I was tired, because the money wasn't worth the wear on my car, because I didn't need the extra income that badly anymore. All of that was true, but that address was part of it. A few months after it happened, I was telling a friend about it, and he said I should have reported it properly. Maybe he was right. Maybe I should have gone back in the daytime, talked to someone, knocked on Unit A and asked more questions. I didn't. I didn't want to know more. There was one last thing, though. About 6 months later, I was going through old emails and receipts, clearing out junk. I found the delivery summary from that night. Same restaurant, same total, same drop-off street. But the customer name on the receipt was not the name the man from Unit A mentioned. It wasn't Erica. It wasn't even a woman's name. It was a man's name I had completely forgotten, and I won't say it here because I still remember it too clearly. What bothered me was that I had a sudden thought I didn't like. If the neighbor was telling the truth, and multiple drivers had shown up there asking for different people, then whoever was placing those orders wasn't just using one account. They were doing it over and over. Different names, different nights, same unit. I still think about the way the voice changed, at first winded, rushed, like he was trying to get to the door, then calmer, then flat. Like once he knew I wasn't leaving right away, he didn't have to act anymore. I've had people ask me what I think was actually going on there. I don't know. I don't think the unit was empty in the way people mean when they say empty. And I don't think the person inside wanted food. If they did, they could have just taken it and let me leave. Instead, they kept me on the phone, kept me moving from the front to the side and back again, kept checking whether I was still outside. Like the delivery was only an excuse to get someone to come there. And stand there. And wait. That's the part that stayed with me. Not what I saw. Not even what went missing. Just the sense that I had shown up for something that had very little to do with the order I was carrying. I still do contactless drop-offs differently now. If a customer starts changing the address after I've picked up the food, I cancel. If they want me to go around to a side entrance and they won't open the door, I leave. And if I ever pull up to a place where someone is watching me through the blinds but won't come outside, I don't wait to find out why. Because maybe there's a normal explanation. Maybe there usually is. But that night, at that duplex, whatever was waiting on the other side of that door seemed a lot more interested in me than in the food. And even now, the thing I can't get past is this. When I finally drove away, the customer was still calling, as if I was the part they didn't want to lose.